Zhang Zhilei versus Deontay Wilder, set for the Beterbiev Bivol undercard on June 1st. Now, I think more than a few of us have already stated that we don't really want to see Wilder fight anymore. And I said that adamantly after he was beaten badly by Joseph Parker. He's done. He doesn't need the boxing game anymore. But having said that, in order to do a breakdown, I'll pretend to sort of wind back the clock a little bit and pretend that Deontay can actually resurrect a little bit of his former self in order to do a little bit of boxing analysis in this fight versus Zhang Zhilei. Okay, so before we even get going, let me also state that it's about 7 weeks out from the fight date, and I wouldn't be shocked if somewhere during this camp, Team Wilder just decides to pull the plug on it. Now, I don't know if that'll come from Wilder himself directly, or if it'll be more at the urging of his corner saying, look, dude, like, you don't need this fight, like, for a number of reasons that I'll get into in a moment. But first, let's look at why this fight was sort of even set up in the first place, and the framework for this fight. Now, notice that usually the heavyweights are the main event, right? But not in this case, and I think that's because the promoters know that there is a possibility that this fight could fall off before the fighters even step in the ring, mainly because of Wilder's condition at the moment. So it's such a stacked card that if Wilder Zhang falls off, it doesn't matter, because Beterbiev Bivol is a must-see boxing fight. So that's number one. It doesn't matter if Wilder and Zhang falls off. Second aspect of this fight, in terms of the match, is that out of all the top 10, who else but Zhang can the promoters throw at Wilder? They want to throw him somebody in the top 10 to make it a compelling fight for the viewers and for Wilder. And of course they're going to pick Zhang because he just lost. He's got a couple L's on his record, and more importantly, the fact that Zhang is over 40. So somehow, maybe to the public and to Wilder and to casual fans, they look at this and say, oh, well, it's sort of fair, because even though Wilder got beat up by Parker, he's now facing a 40-year-old, so he could still win. But the fact is, in this case, the age is not as relevant as the fact that Wilder is shot. Wilder is more shot than Zhang is too old, so to speak. But let's look at Zhang, other than the fact that he's 40 years old. Okay, first off, Zhang is a southpaw. Right away, he has what we always call southpaw advantage, and that's simply a numbers game, because no matter what, a southpaw will always have put in more rounds versus a right-handed fighter than a right-handed fighter will have put in versus southpaw fighters. And that's simply because there's more orthodox stance fighters than there are southpaw stance fighters. So for sure, Zhang Zhilei has put in more rounds over the years, or even in this beginning of this camp, he's put in more rounds versus orthodox fighters than Wilder has put in versus a southpaw. So now the super casuals will say, yeah, but in the camp he put in the rounds. Yes, of course. And once Wilder knows he's faced with a southpaw, he's going to ensure that he hires a bunch of southpaw sparring partners. But I'm talking over the course of time, day in, day out in the gym, even when you don't have a contract and you're still sparring, to stay sharp, to keep your eyes active, and yeah, as well, every fighter should do, even when they don't have a contract. You should still spar. 9 times out of 10, that's going to be versus a righty, because that's just numbers wise who there are more of. Now, in the MMA game, it's a little bit different, because one, you have way more people that switch hit because they learn that from their kickboxing or Muay Thai background, and then you just do have more southpaw fighters in the MMA game. But in the boxing game, it's still, there's way more orthodox than there are southpaws. So right off the bat, Zhang Zhilei has a bit of an advantage in terms of just acclimating to fighting somebody who's a righty. Okay, let's break down their specific weapons. Well, jab-wise, Deontay's jab is not that good, mainly because he allows his elbow to stick out, which means the power on that jab just is dissipated. Mechanically, that's not how you're supposed to throw the jab. The elbow should be always pointed down towards the floor, and you should spiral rotate your fist forward. So if Deontay is gonna throw out lazy jabs with his elbow out like that, I don't think Zhang is going to be intimidated by that at all. I assume he'll either like parry Wilder's jab with his jab hand, which is in this case his lead right hand. He'll be able to parry and just come over top, or just straight up come over top if Deontay throws lazy jabs. Now, Deontay's sort of best known for his Teddy Atlas calls it his eraser, his right hand. But let's not forget that Zhang has the equivalent mirror image punch, which is the straight left. And in fact, I think Zhang's straight left is, it may not be quote unquote as powerful as Wilder's straight right used to be, but the terrific thing about Zhang's straight left is that he does not telegraph it. It's just so quick out of the pocket that fighters don't really have time to realize it's coming. So I give Zhang the advantage in both those departments in terms of jabs and straight reverse punches. In Zhang's case, it's a straight left. In Deontay's case, it would be the straight right. But I think Zhang's straight left can beat Deontay's straight right. Third aspect, fighting on the inside. Deontay can't fight on the inside. Period, end of story. So if he falls in behind his straight right that he misses a big power shot, Zhang, surprisingly to me, threw a lot of nice, tight, crisp, short uppercuts on the inside, specifically against Filip Hrgović. And let's assume he didn't lose that skill set, and he still has it. So I think Zhang can win the inside game as well. One more aspect, let's look at footwork, because that would be the one way I think Deontay could possibly eke out a W versus Zhang, which would be to box and just pick away at him and try to rack up points from the outside. Completely not Deontay's mindset, it doesn't seem like, and unfortunately for him, his footwork's not that good either. It doesn't look like, and it's not something you can just sort of develop in one camp. The other problem for Deontay is that he's never developed his lower body in terms of strength or hypertrophy. You just look at him. His legs are like 2 toothpicks with peas stuck on them for his knees. He has zero muscular development from the hips down. So, you know, in terms of him developing that powerful straight right, it certainly wasn't because he has a strong posterior chain. Deontay Wilder does not generate his power from the floor up. He generates his power from his waist up. And he was able to do so for a long enough time. But unfortunately for him, because he never invested in doing a weight routine that develops his lower body, he just now cannot just suddenly develop enough lower body strength to have great mobility in the ring in terms of either just bending or moving his feet to be more agile. Zhang, on the other hand, he's not exactly Mr. Fast feet, but he doesn't need to be really. He doesn't make decent use of angles. So the one big question mark for Zhang is, of course, is he going to get himself in good enough shape to go a full 12 rounds? And really, at this point, Zhang, please, please, please get in shape. You know, I think a lot of your fans just are sort of disappointed in that you peter out in the second half of the fight on more than one occasion. I think a lot of us feel that fight versus Parker was winnable if Zhang hadn't thrown away sort of the second part of the fight. And that looked to be mostly due to conditioning. So let's hope that Zhang actually gets himself in shape for this fight versus Wilder. And then I do see him being able to either KO, TKO, or at least decision Deontay Wilder, mainly because I think Wilder is shot. But the other thing is, at this point, you know, Zhang Zhilei should also have the mental upper hand. He knows that Fury just completely damaged Wilder, and then Parker made it incredibly plain that Wilder's shot. Parker added further damage to Wilder, and he exposed Wilder's complete lack of defensive skills at this point. So if I were Zhang, I would not be intimidated at all. I would just know all I got to do is make him move backwards. Zhang is the bigger man, so he can make Wilder move backwards. He just has to walk him down and kind of bring it. Now, in the end, as I said, I'm wondering if we even get to see this fight take place. So let's not be shocked if Team Wilder just pulls the plug on it, and we'll assume that they do have a backup in mind for Zhang. It'll still be good to see Zhang fight again. I hope, again, just because we want to see Zhang give himself all the advantages, and we want to see Zhang fulfill on what he's capable of simply by being in good enough shape to fight a full 12 rounds at full capacity. So that's my call. I do see Zhang coming out victorious over Deontay Wilder. I actually hope that we don't get to see this fight, and I actually hope that Team Wilder sort of comes to its senses and pulls the plug on this fight, and Wilder just hires a wedding planner to create some some retirement fight off in a beautiful location in front of his friends and family versus some paid opponent, simply so he can go out on a high note and we can all wish him well. But how do you see Zhang versus Wilder playing out? Do you even want to see this fight? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching.